Well, thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to talk a little bit about Paul George and how much he's meant to this organization. He's been a part of 7 years. We wish him the best. Some great plays over the last 7 years. And like I said earlier, that personally and professionally it's tough. But at the end of the day, we have to move on. And the way I look at it, it's a little bit like a rebirth. And so we're turning the page. And we wish him the best. And that's not a cliche. We really, really wish him the best. He'll have a great year in Oklahoma City, and then who knows where he goes. But we're excited about our future. We're excited about the trade. One of the things we looked at in the beginning of this process was we wanted tough kids. We wanted guys who played together. And we wanted smart kids. And we wanted flyers out there. And so with that being said, we'd like to introduce Victor, Domas, and Darren. And we feel like they're really part of what we're about going forward. They're all about the team. They're going to compete every single night. And I think the biggest thing that we know about the trade in its singularity is this, is we got two players who are lottery players who were part of a 47-win team, and they started. And so there's been a lot of speculation that we want to go back and really start over, and that's not the case. We went after these guys. We identified these two as players we felt great about and that we wanted to be a part of this program and we wanted to grow with. So we didn't want to go down to the bottom. We want to be a competitive team next year. So everybody's saying that we got to go back to the bottom. That's not true. They're great kids. They fit us exactly. We wrote up on the board at the very beginning, we wanted guys that would fit into what we're about and have that trickle down to the rest of the team. And I've gotten to spend a little bit of time with Victor, and I know Darren, and we know Domas very well from the draft and the intel we got from them. So we're excited about today. We think we're going to be very competitive next year. And we have a team that we feel like we can grow over the next few years. So that was really important to us. We didn't want to start at the very bottom. The Pacers don't start at the very bottom. Very rarely in its storied history have we gone to the bottom. So we have athletes, we have toughness, and we have guys that are willing to play unselfish. And at the end of the day, Indiana fans believe in that. We believe in that. And there's a right way to play, and we're going to play the right way. So we're excited about this. We have to turn the page, and the Indiana Pacers are going to compete next year, and we're going to move on. So, Nate.
Yeah, to talk a little bit about the players, Kevin was presented with an unbelievable challenge just a few weeks ago, and no one knew how this would play out, and to have the opportunity to bring in some young talent as well as some experience with Darren coming in. I thought it worked out well for us. We add to our roster speed. The league has gone to a faster pace. We feel that we add that to our roster with Oladipo and Darren in the backcourt. Versatility as far as your big, being able to play two positions. We feel we get that in Sabonis. And these are young guys that has a lot of potential. Darren will be an old vet, not too old, but he will be a vet and looked upon to really lead us. He's been in this league. He's had a lot of success throughout his career, and we will be looking for him to lead this roster. But very excited about these three young men coming and joining our team. And I think, the fans will be excited with the group that we put together.
Kevin, this is for you. You had mentioned on draft night that the move could have been made at any time moving forward, that it could have gone into free agency. What led to the timing being right on Friday, and how much does Herb have conversations about not wanting to necessarily start at the bottom or to start at the very beginning of a rebuild? How much was he involved in those discussions about a trade with Paul?
Well, during that period, we were talking to Herb, I don't know, many times a day. He's very involved that way. It's been very important for him to have a team that he's proud of, and that's something that I think the whole state, our fans, they recognize the right way to play, and so that was important. What was the first part of that question, Nate?
Why did Friday?
Oh.
Why was that the correct timing after sort of saying that the move could be made at any point this summer?
Right. I think the way we approached this was a little different in that we had written up what we wanted. We didn't want to be in a situation where we were just taking calls and people trying to come at us. So we were very proactive on what we wanted. And we had identified these two guys as that balance between being lottery picks but not the pure rookies. So Domas coming off a rookie season, starting on that team that won 47 games. And Victor, who's had success, has been in his second contract, but he's still growing. At his age, we can still grow with these guys. What we didn't want to get in a situation was where we were capped out financially, but also with the growth of our team. For us, it was about starting and growing together and letting this team get a chemistry. And that doesn't happen, overnight. So for us, we were proactive. We did receive a lot of offers. And as soon as we knew the right one came, Herb was involved, and we pulled the trigger.
Kevin, so the urge to build through the draft as opposed to free agency, or the combination. History shows that the Pacers don't get the top level free agent. History shows that. History also shows you need superstars to win this league. So my question is, didn't you need? Obviously, you didn't think so, but why didn't you think you needed draft picks for the future to build?
Well, who says we didn't? But to me, these two are the best of both worlds. They're the second pick in the draft and the 11th pick in the draft. We got 2 lottery picks. It's not like we came out of here and said, oh, boy, it's 3 picks. Because at the end of the day, Greg, what you have to understand is that picks are just people. You get abstract in the way you look at it in the future, like, oh, it's a pick down the future. But the reality is we know these kids now. So the certainty of their character, the certainty of what we knew what we were getting, the certainty that I have no doubt that both these players, along with Darren, are starting caliber players. And so maybe you don't have the complete superstar, but I'm not willing to say that. I want to build, and Nate and I want to build, this organization wants to build teams that you put out on the floor and 5 guys play together. You obviously need top-level talent. We feel like these guys are top-level talent.
Victor, I'm sure when you came to Indiana, you weren't really sure what basketball really was about till you went to Indiana for 3 years and played. How surreal is it to start your career at Indiana University, now still have that Indiana on your chest as a Pacer?
First off, just thankful to be here, to be up here with these guys, for Kevin and Coach to believe in me and the ability that I have, but also to come home. There's no feeling like it. To get off that plane the other day and realize I know where I'm at. You know what I mean? And to see familiar faces is always a good feeling. This is where it all started for me. Coming to Indiana, didn't really know what to expect. Like you said, didn't really know too much about the history. But I'm a Hoosier. living, breathing, anywhere you can imagine, I'm a Hoosier. So to be able to play for the state team and represent the Pacer organization is a blessing, and I'm truly thankful for it.
Nate, how will, given the personnel changes, and I'm sure there's more to come, but how will the offense next season differ from what we saw last season? Beyond playing up-tempo, that kind of thing, in the half court, how will you play differently?
Well, we're not finished. We still have some positions to fill. But I'd just say right off the bat, you look at these two guys, Darren and Victor, they play fast. And, we want that tempo to be fast, and you have to adapt to what you have. And, I've watched film on them, of course, coached against these guys. They play at a faster tempo. So, I think right away I intend to allow these guys, let them go. Let them go and play their game. And, we want to be aggressive. Defensively, I think they get after it. So these are guys that they're two-way players. I love their motors. And, we just have to let them go. So we're not finished. Kevin is certainly not finished with building this team. But, right off the bat, you look at your two guards. They play at a faster tempo.
Kevin, have you personally spoken with Paul yet since you've been informed of his decision?
Yes.
Generally, how'd that conversation go?
It's a private conversation. What I would say is this, that Paul's a very caring person. I think he wishes this would have been a little different in terms of their process. But he wished us well. He wants this organization to do well, and we do too. So we want him to do well. So it was a good conversation. It's been multiple conversations, actually.
General, did you get very far with Monte on a buyout discussion? And also, do you plan to stretch that out?
Don't know yet. We just waived him, so we have a little bit of time to decide that.
Victor, are there some elements of your game that we haven't seen yet that maybe we didn't see in Orlando or in Oklahoma City?
I guess we might just have to wait and see, huh? Just opportunity, coming here. I feel like I have the opportunity to show a little bit more than I've done my first 4 years in the league. Opportunity to come in here and help lead young guys, lead organizations. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's nothing like playing for the home team. I'm looking forward to every minute of it. I'm looking forward to competing with these guys night in and night out, and going out there and trying to win basketball games.
Victor has a unique perspective of basketball. I spent some time with him on the plane, and, most executives and coaches know about usage rate. And he said that his usage rate should go up in the future. And I was a little impressed and shocked, by the way, at that. So, Nate, is his usage rate going up?
No question. Absolutely.
This question's for Darren. Darren, you've seen what obviously has occurred over the last 2 weeks with the Pacers. You're the first free agent that's agreed to sign with them and come aboard. What about this opportunity intrigued you most after seeing the trade happen on Friday?
I just felt like, a little bit like Vic, this is a situation that, I've been a part of earlier in my career. I felt like Indiana has always been home for me in some sense. When I was here for 2 years, it just felt like a real organization that took care of me, while I was here. And, just to come back and have that comfortable feeling and knowing, like Vic said, seeing similar faces, is definitely going to be helpful. And, I could kind of add to your question, too. I mean, I think Victor, to me, can, be a very, very special player in this league. I think sometimes it just takes opportunities and the right situation, to kind of, like, take off. And, I've been watching his game for a long time, and I think this is a situation where he can take off. We have a lot of good other young players, too, like Miles himself. To me, that has all-star caliber talent too as well. So it's a good situation. I'm very happy. When Kevin made the call, I felt like this is a good situation for myself, and I'm very happy to lead.
Mr. Pritchard, with IU basketball being so big in this state, obviously, having a guy like Victor back in a Pacers uniform, did that ever factor into your decision with maybe you're going to get more IU fans in the stands to watch him play?
The honest truth, that's zero.
Yeah, they're already in the stands anyway.
You know, at the end of the day, what we have to do is try to bring in good kids with good talent that will put the team first, that will play hard. And those were the criteria. It wasn't you start with, is he from Indiana or is he from Purdue? Although it's amazing as we are other teams. We don't start the board of he's from in-state. That's way, way down on the list. What's amazing is there's so many good players that come from the state, either from high school or from college, that you tend to, gravitate because you've seen them a lot, but also you know them and you know what they're about because if they've played in this state, they know the way of true Indiana basketball. And I say that in a positive way. So it didn't factor into this trade. We're happy he is from Indiana or went to Indiana University, but not a factor.
This is for Domas. I got two questions. First is, what was your reaction when you found out you've been traded here? And then how do you see yourself fitting in with this team?
At first I was in Summer League 2, and when I found out, I was in shock, but then I was really excited for this opportunity and to be here with this organization. I think it's a great opportunity for me and for all of us to grow, and I'm just really ready for the season.
Victor, I know that Hoosier Hysteria Night in Bloomington was always pretty big for you guys to kick off the season, and you always sang for the Indiana fans. Are you going to be singing for the Pacer fans too?
I'm going to do whatever the Pacers fans want me to do.
This question is for Kevin and Nate. You've mentioned before about trying to have 5 players play together, team-oriented basketball. How much of that was revealed over these last 2 years with understanding you have a top-line talent in Paul and a rising star in Miles, but maybe the team dynamics weren't the case or the way that you liked them? Did that also have influence towards this decision, the fact that team basketball maybe wasn't at the top priority for everyone involved over the last 2 or so years?
Well, I would say this. If you look at a lot of the teams that are having success, ball movement is amazing, right? And it just creates so much difficulty for defense to stop when there's a lot of ball movement. Last year we weren't great at it. I don't think we were terrible at it, but I don't think we were great at it. You have to have the right players out there. You have to be able to think the game, and you got to be willing to do the small things. Like what attracted us to Domas so much was, I think it's underappreciated in this league. He will set screens. He goes out there and he's a great screen setter, and he can rebound, and he's willing to play physical, and he gets guys open, and he's an underrated passer. And so when your bigs can do that, when Miles can do that, it puts 5 guys out there that potentially can make plays. And at the end of the day, I think that's the hardest thing to defend, is when you have 5 guys out there willing to make plays. Darren is a willing passer. Domas is a willing passer. Oladipo, most of the time.
Every now and then.
Domas, over here. You've been in the league for 1 year now. Had some experiences. Based on what you know to this point, what's your expectation for yourself? What kind of player now do you think that you can become?
I think my first year as a rookie, I think I gained a lot of experience, and I think that's going to help me this upcoming season. And with this amazing opportunity I have in front of me, I'm going to try my best and do the best I can.
This is for Nate and for Kevin. And obviously, Nate, you touched on positions yet to fill. Point guard, center, shooting guard. You have Lance. You have a lot of do you have a small forward right now? Is that one area that you're looking at? Do you feel that Glenn's ready to do that? And if you don't want to be specific, what exactly are you looking for in terms of a trade for this team?
We're still looking at trades and free agency. We have some cap space, so we can be pretty aggressive. We can do imbalanced trades. There's some free agents that we're still looking at. And I think shooting is something I'd really like to add to this roster. You have some speed, you have some athleticism, but you got to be able to put the ball in holes. So shooting is of imperative importance to us right now.
Hey, Kevin, you said the Pacers don't go to the bottom. Was that a directive from Herb before the trade process started, or were you already on board with that before Herb was telling you?
I would say this, that we looked at a lot of different models, some that were where you got really bad, some that were towards the middle, and some that could have been a competitive team but would have capped us out and made it really challenging to make changes in the future. And you didn't know if that team could actually make the playoffs. I wanted to have a team that you could have growth in front of you, good kids that are all about the team, and that that we could surprise to the upside. And so you look out into the trade market, and there's all kinds of scenarios that you can look at. But what I liked about our process in this trade was we identified some things we wanted, and so we searched that out a little bit too. But Herb was very involved in it too.
Victor, this is questions for you. There was some speculation nationally that the situation you were in last year, being the scorer that you are, that your offense was hindered a little bit last year. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Being in this, I was in a great situation last year. You know, I really have nothing but thanks for the Thunder organization and my teammates for giving me the opportunity that they did, putting me in the position that they did. I had my first playoff experience there, so I have no regrets, and it was a great opportunity. You know, I witnessed probably one of the greatest single-man seasons ever in NBA history, ever. So that was good for me and my growth as well, and to be able to witness that and be there every day and see how he works and see what he does and what he brings to the table was good for me as well. So I kind of live life with no regrets and believing that everything happens for a reason. So you should take full advantage of every opportunity that you have. And if things don't go a certain way you don't want them to, you got to kind of look into what that is and take the lesson learned from it. And I learned a lot. So I'm nothing but grateful and appreciative.
Kevin, you had mentioned before the idea of you want a young core to grow together and develop together, and obviously the plan is to not fully bottom out. Is the goal next season to make the playoffs?
Well, I think it's still an incomplete roster. I think until we understand what we can do with this cap space and what the trade market happens over the next couple of days, I don't think I'd want to put a limit or a ceiling to it. What I would say is this, is for us it's about how we grow. Whether we're X wins or X plus 10, I want to know that this team comes together, they play for each other, that they build a chemistry that has a chance for sustained success. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to go again at 6 out of 7 years in the playoffs and having longer runs in the playoffs. Sometimes in the NBA, you can be in the middle, and that can be as stressful and as challenging as, you know, taking it down and then building it back up. So I'm not so sure yet what our goals are. I don't want to define that yet because I don't think it's appropriate with an incomplete roster. I like what we have. We have good coaching. We have players that are up and coming and that we haven't reached our potential. But it's really about how we come together as a team. So incomplete yet.
This is for Darren. You mentioned earlier, you said you were ready to lead. I was wondering if you could expand on that a little bit. How you feel about taking on a leadership role with this team?
I think it's fun. You know, I think, you know, I've learned a lot, you know, coming from Sacramento. You know, everybody knows it wasn't the best of situation for each player there, but, you know, I think I've grown as a man mentally. You know, it was tough, you know, dealing with the situation in the past, but, you know, I had fun leading every single day, you know, being there on practice on time and just showing up to work and trying to be the professional that I want to be, you know, even when situation wasn't going the way you want it to be. So I think now it's just I think it's going to be a little bit easier. We have some guys that can play. We have a good coaching staff, a great organization, so it's going to be a little bit easier, and I'm looking forward to it.
Kevin, there are a ton of trade rumors, which I'm sure you saw. I think Boston was sending Bob Cousy. How much of
the rights to Larry Bird?
The rights to Larry Bird.
We thought about that one too.
What percentage of those were actually true?
Less than 5.
The Boston deal that was rumored was not true?
I'm not going to speculate, but I would tell you this, that a lot of those offers are put out into the media for a reason, and you can read into anything you want, but a lot of times if it hits that level, then it's probably not going to happen or wasn't real. That's what I would say about that.
Darren, you've obviously been here before. I just want to know your thoughts when you played here and then you found out you weren't going to be here anymore. What was going through your mind, and how is it different than it is right now coming back?
You want to go there, right? I grew up fast in the NBA, having to experience that. I think at the time, we had a really, really good team, and I got a chance to experience, the playoffs, at a high level, playing with those guys, and, having to leave, it didn't sit well with me, but, you move on, you get better as a player, you try to assess like what you need to do and to improve, and you take it from there, no hard feelings. It is what it is, but at the same time, everything that happens for a reason, happens, and it gets you better as a player.
Darren, also, other than being just older, more mature, in what ways are you a different player than you were when you were here the first time? How's your game changed?
So much different. I think early on in my career when I was here, I was just trying to find my way, just trying to figure out, who I was as a player, whether it's scoring or playmaking. I think it's hard to choose, when you're a young player, but now, I could definitely shoot the ball a little bit better than I was early in my career, which is definitely a plus. And, I'm comfortable leading. Early on in my career, I was asked to lead a team to the playoffs, and I was kind of young for that, I admit. But now I'm comfortable leading, and like I said, it's fun leading the team.
Nate, a year ago at this time, obviously you were asking Paul George to lead this team. You were building your team around him. What are you dealing with now as you go into this season? How do you look at this squad you've got?
Well, I've been in this situation really before twice, transformation of a team and, going in a different direction. Really, I'm excited. As I mentioned earlier, I really didn't know what would happen when we was in some ways forced to make the decision to, trade Paul, and after what Kevin has done in the last week or so, and looking at the direction of the team that he's putting in place, really excited about working with these guys next season. I think it can be an exciting year. The question was asked, are we a playoff team? Kevin is going to build the team, but I can tell you as a coach, we always play to win. And, I think we are bringing in some guys that are competitors. They compete along with, some of the guys that we continue to have on the roster. Excited about the group that we have in place so far.